Duje, Dr. Mary-Idele, woman leader of the party, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please permit me to adopt the well-established protocols. Good morning. I'm truly honored to stand before this gathering of distinguished women leaders and rising stars within the All Progressives Congress, who have reshaped our political landscape and continue to push boundaries across Nigeria. My heartfelt gratitude goes to the mother of the nation, our leader, Her Excellency Senator Oluremi Tinubu's CON, the wife of our president, for graciously hosting this timeless summit, which speaks to our collective resolve to secure a future where women lead, influence, and inspire on every front. I commend our national woman leader, Dr. Mary-Idele, and the organizers of this summit for the visionary work they are doing to bring women's voices and leadership to the forefront of our party's agenda. This is an invaluable opportunity to reflect, engage, and strategize on how we can continue to chart the course for women in leadership and politics in Nigeria. This summit allows us to discuss our roles as women in politics and to embrace the power that lies within our collective strength. It is a reminder that we shouldn't be satisfied with just being onlookers. We should strive to be shapers of Nigeria's political landscape, nation builders, and architects of our future. My paper today is on empowering the next generation of female leaders. And before we do that, just like our women leader did, we have to honor our predecessors. Our presence in leadership is not by accident. It is a result of the tireless efforts of strong, determined women who came before us, and who, despite incredible challenges such as societal resistance, exclusion, and often hostility, pressed on for us to have the opportunities we have today. I think of women like Chief Mrs. Fumilayo Ransome-Kuti, a key figure in Nigeria's anti-colonial and women's rights movement. She fought for women's suffrage and herself made history as one of the first women to secure electoral seats in Nigeria, winning positions in the Egba Central Council in 1949. Chief Mrs. Margaret Ekpo, a leading activist for women's rights, established the Aba Township Women's Association in 1954, which she later turned into a political pressure group. She was one of Nigeria's first elected female politicians and served in the Eastern Regional House of Assembly in the 60s, a position that allowed her to fight for issues affecting women. Ajia Gambo Sawaba, a fierce advocate for women's rights in the traditionally conservative northern Nigeria, where women didn't get the right to vote or be voted for until 1976, when then General Olusegun Obasanjo's military regime, through the local government number 189 edict, gave all Nigerian women the right to vote in 1976. She served 16 prison sentences in her lifetime and faced other precarious abuse, such as the shaving of her hair and being stripped and flogged. More recently, Her Excellency Senator Oluremi Tinubu's CON exemplifies the tenacity, dedication, and resilience of women. As a three-term senator, Her Excellency is a shining example of leadership in action and has demonstrated what it means to break barriers and persist in a male-dominated political space. Her unwavering commitment to public service, especially her contributions to youth development and gender issues, deserve special recognition. During her time in the Senate, she pushed for the advancement of women through legislation and advocacy, supporting bills and initiatives that sought to improve the lives of women and girls in Nigeria. She champions the empowerment of women not only within the APC, but also on the national stage. Her Excellency's work on gender issues, particularly her efforts to create more opportunities for women in leadership, speaks to the heart of today's dialogue. Her Her story serves as a reminder that when women stand firm in their resolve, no obstacle is insurmountable. Female representation in politics, progress, and gaps. However, while we celebrate the gains that have been made, we must also acknowledge that many women in leadership still contend with persistent inequality, tokenism, and systemic barriers that limit their full participation in the political space. Today, we have a total of 9 deputy governors, 9 female deputy governors across the country, compared to 4 in the previous election cycle. This is giving Nigerian women a greater voice in critical decisions at the state level. However, the broader picture remains concerning as women's overall representation in elected positions is still stagnant at around 4%. For instance, 15 out of our 36 states do not have female lawmakers in their State House of Assembly. And according to the Inter-Parliamentary Union, Nigeria ranks in the bottom 10 globally in women's representation in national parliaments. This is simply not good enough. You will recall the 5 gender bills introduced in the 9th Assembly, which included proposals to enshrine key protections and opportunities for women in governance and leadership, such as special legislative seats and 35% of appointed political positions for women. The conversation has started, and the momentum they generated has created a growing awareness of the need for gender parity in our country. We must continue to push for legislative reforms that will break down systemic barriers. We must not tire. We must not lose focus. The struggle for gender-responsive policies must remain central to our advocacy as women leaders because representation matters. And it must go beyond numbers. We must have power and platforms to effect real change. We need to move from symbolic representation to substantive leadership, where women are actively shaping policy, leading governance, and setting the agenda for development. Now more than ever before, we are closer to making these projections a reality. The role of he for she allies. In our journey towards greater representation, we must recognize the invaluable role of he for she men who champion and support affirmative action, understanding that a balanced society benefits everyone. I seize this opportunity to salute our number 1 he for she ally, our President, His Excellency Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who has consistently demonstrated a commitment to gender equity through his leadership and his actions. Over the years, he has actively championed the inclusion of women in governance, creating pathways for their election and appointment to positions of influence. His administrations, both at state and national levels, have marked a period of significant strides for women, notably for young women who have been encouraged to step into leadership roles and serve as catalysts for progress. This commitment has inspired a wave of new female leaders, fostering a more balanced representation in decision-making processes that enrich our nation. Through these efforts, Mr. President has not only elevated the role of women, but has also laid the groundwork for a legacy of inclusivity that will shape future generations. I stand here today as Deputy Governor of Ogun State because of another such ally, our Governor, His Excellency Prince Dapo Abiodun, CON, who, as a gubernatorial candidate, recognized the need for gender diversity and made the conscious decision to ensure his running mate was a woman. Men like them appreciate women's advancement is not a zero-sum game, but a gain for the entire society. Their understanding of the value that women's unique perspectives and experiences add to the governance process will be instrumental in getting us increased representation. Their partnership is a reminder that lifting women into leadership is a collaborative effort, one that is strengthened when men and women work together to advance affirmative action and ensure that women have the opportunities they deserve. The need for empowering the next generation. One of the greatest responsibilities we have as women leaders is to empower the next generation of female leaders. As we continue to break barriers and navigate the complexities of leadership in a male-dominated world, we must be intentional about nurturing young women who follow in our footsteps. The question is, how do we ensure that the doors we have fought so hard to open remain open, and how do we widen them further? Empowering young women to lead begins with giving them access to opportunities and supporting them with the mentorship they need to excel. But it also requires that we share the stories of our own struggles, triumphs, and lessons learned. We must show them that leadership is not about perfection. It is about resilience, courage, and staying true to one's values. The future of our country rests on the shoulders of these young women who are watching us today. If we are to leave a legacy of growth and progress, we must create systems that will allow them to succeed. And this means equipping them not only with the skills to lead, but also the confidence to break those glass ceilings and redefine the political landscape. Lifting as we rise, mentorship and responsibility. Dear women leaders, we carry the fundamental obligation to ensure that the road to leadership is smoother for the next generation than it was for us. Every one of us should identify at least one young woman we can mentor, one woman whose path we can help shape. It could be a young woman with political ambitions, a professional in a male-dominated field, or a girl just starting to dream about her future. For instance, to commemorate the 2024 International Day of the Girl Child, I recently hosted some pre-university girls abroad and was amazed by their range of questions and concerns, mostly about their future careers, work-life balance, and their chances of fair opportunities in the workplace. The journey of leadership is tough, but it becomes easier when we actively provide opportunities and support for each other. Remember, behind every successful woman is a tribe of other successful women who had her back. Mentorship goes beyond offering advice. It is about providing opportunities, giving your mentees a platform to grow, and ensuring that they are seen, heard, and given the space to lead. As Deputy Governor, I actively support women seeking elective offices across our state. And I advocate for political appointments for women at both state and LG levels. For example, in 2021, I supported a young ward woman leader. She was a woman leader in a ward in my local government in her 30s, and she became the vice chairman of our local government. And I'm pleased to say she performed exceedingly well. Our current vice chairmanship candidate is also a young woman. Another example, in my ward, we had its first female councillor in 2020, and she subsequently became the first female leader of the House. This year, our candidate happens to be another young woman. In fact, she just gave birth to a baby boy last week, in the middle of her campaign. But it didn't stop her campaigning, and it didn't stop her becoming a candidate. As somebody said yesterday, she wasn't pregnant in her womb. However, it isn't always a fairy tale. But positive feedback has encouraged me to keep on pushing. And if you have my brochure, you'll see some feedback that I put in there for you to read. This is how I am building a legacy of female leaders. As we climb higher, we must remember to reach out and pull other women up. Practical steps to empowerment. practical area through which to empower young women is education, which serves as the foundation for leadership development. However, it's not just about formal education. We must create opportunities for young women to develop skills in leadership, communication, and decision-making. This can be done through mentorship programs, internships, leadership academies, and as I suggested earlier, through early political participation. Another area is funding. Lack of access to funding and resources has created a barrier to entry for women in politics. NGOs, private sector sponsors, and party leadership can offer financial support programs ensuring that young women seeking elected offices have access to resources to run viable campaigns. Additionally, policy advocacy is critical. For instance, in the last election cycle, our great party leaders ensured that our women were seen and heard by insisting that the 5 local governments and state delegates from each ward should include at least 2 women each. And that at least one of the 3 national delegates from each local government had to be female. We thank them for that, and we hope that this will be sustained. Let us push for more party policies that promote the inclusion of young women in leadership at all levels, from ward to national positions. Strengthening women's political networks. In our journey as women, we must build and strengthen our networks of both men and women who will support our journey and ensure collective success. Political leadership is not a solo endeavor. The most successful leaders are those who build alliances, collaborate, and draw strength from others. Building strong, interconnected networks is vital for amplifying our voices, and this summit is an excellent example of how women coming together, united by a common purpose, can spark real change in our party, in our communities, and in our country. We must ensure that women are positioned strategically within party structures and decision-making bodies to ensure that women's issues are front and center in party and national policies. Strategizing for the future, the time is now. If we truly desire to see more women represented at every level of government in the next election cycle, we cannot afford to wait until the last minute to start planning. The time to begin preparing ourselves, our networks, and our strategies is now. Let's ensure that our networks are robust, resilient, and reach beyond the top levels of leadership to include women at the grassroots, young women entering politics, and women in civil society. My dear brothers and sisters, as we step forward from here, let us go back to our various constituencies and make a renewed commitment to lift other women as we rise and to build the networks that will sustain us. Our journey is not yet complete, and our work is far from over. We must demand our fair share, and we must be relentless in our pursuit of true gender parity, so we can build a future where women are key leaders, decision makers, and shapers of Nigeria's destiny. I call on each of us to reflect on the legacy we want to leave for the next generation of female leaders. If we are ready to champion the young women who will define Nigeria's future, we must not be content with small gains or token gestures. Our predecessors pried doors ajar. Now it is time for us to kick them wide open for future generations. I am walking my talk and lifting as I rise. Who is the next young woman who will lift as you rise? This is what I want us to take away. Once again, I thank the National Women Leader of our great party, Dr. Salako-Oyedele, and her team for organizing this summit and for the privilege to share my thoughts. Thank you all for listening, and God bless.